So I've just been sitting on the bench here with my son talking about Daoist philosophy, and he asked me about the Daoist principle of 5%. So I thought I'd share with you my answer. So yesterday we talked about the two realities, and the starting point for changing either one of those realities is to accept how things are. And in the West, a lot of kind of goal setting and personal development type stuff talks about having SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and time bound. There's also talk about having big, hairy, audacious goals, or 10xing your results, and it's about, making massive changes in your life. Now the Daoist approach is slightly different. The Daoists, they look to nature and they try to do things in a natural way, and so they take a gentler approach to making changes in their lives. And so this is where what I call the principle of 5% comes in. And what this is, well, if I give you an example of the house where I live, it's not in the greatest of areas, and sometimes I look out at the back and think, what am I doing living here? If I took a kind of Western approach to where I live and changing that, hello, then I would come up with a big goal to change things the way I wanted. And so what I'd come up with probably is, move house, find somewhere that's more suitable and move house. But instead what I did is I took a more Daoist approach, and I thought, well, what would improve things by just 5%? And one of the things that would improve it is when I look out the back, if I didn't have to watch people walking past. And so what would improve it by 5%? Well, I came up with the idea of, I'll put a fence up at the back. So that took me a day to do. I put the fence up, and whilst I was putting the fence up, a neighbour came out and was chatting to me, offering me some advice on how to do things, and he lent me some tools to do that. So in making that little 5% improvement by putting up a fence, I got to meet my neighbour and strike up a relationship with him. He was helpful to me. And when I put the fence up, it's way better. And I thought, what would be 5% better than this? And my next door neighbour had said that he's got a pressure hose. So I borrowed his pressure hose and I cleaned down the whole of the back patio, made it much nicer. And then what would make this 5% better? And obviously some plants and greenery in the back improve things. So I set about setting that up, and so on and so on. Got a bench out the back and what have you. So if I'd just gone for the big goal, I wouldn't have even considered making those improvements and changes. And now it's really quite pleasant out the back, as you can see. I'm joking, this isn't my house. But making those small improvements, not only did it improve things, but it opened me up to relationships and possibilities. Had I just gone for the big goal, I never would have experienced. And so without moving house, I've actually improved the environment where I live on an external level, but on an internal level, I've also improved how I feel about where I live. Now I'm actually very happy with where I live. So that's the Daoist approach to goal setting. There's a space for having, big visions, big dreams and things like that, and we'll cover that on a later time. But if you have some areas of your life, whether that be in the internal world or in the external world, maybe you could experiment with that gentler approach of just asking the question, what would improve things by 5%? And something like 5%, you're going to be able to make that change. You're going to be able to improve things by just 5%. And in the process of doing that, good stuff will happen, new ideas will come to you, and then you just look for the next 5%. And so you gradually make things a little bit better. As our teacher in Lishi says it's all good, but how do we make it gooder? And that's part of what the path of Taoism, the part of what the path of Lishi is about accepting how things are, feeling good about how things are, and then just making them gooder, just improving the things by that little bit, 5%, gentle, over time, and creating a better life for yourself. So I hope you like that, and try it out, and I'll speak to you soon.